If you were born as a gibbon, your world would begin in the high canopy of a tropical rainforest. Suspended between sunlight and shadow, between earth and sky, the air would be thick with the scent of wet leaves and blooming orchids, and the chorus of dawn would echo like a living orchestra across the treetops. You wouldn't crawl or walk when you were born. You would cling. Your tiny fingers, already powerful, would grasp your mother's fur as she swung effortlessly through the jungle. From that very first moment, survival would depend not on the ground beneath your feet, but on the branches above your head. Your mother would be your entire world. For months, she would cradle you as she moved, never stopping, never touching the forest floor. Her strong arms would stretch across gaps wider than your small body could imagine, and you'd feel every rush of wind as she flew from one tree to another. This is your cradle, your classroom, and your home. And through her, you would learn the rules of the canopy, the art of movement, the language of the forest, and the balance between risk and rhythm. As a gibbon, your arms would be your lifeline. Long, slender, and impossibly strong, they allow you to travel where most creatures could never dream. This movement, called brachiation, would be your signature, the dance of the gibbons. With each swing, you'd use momentum rather than muscle, timing your reach to the rhythm of your own heartbeat. The forest would blur beneath you as you soared 10, sometimes even 15 meters in a single leap. To fall would mean death, but you wouldn't think of falling. You would think only of flight. The forest canopy would be both your fortress and your feeding ground. You'd rarely touch the earth, for danger lurks below, leopards, snakes, and even humans who would see you as a curiosity or a trophy. So you'd live high, where leaves whisper secrets and sunlight filters through 100 shades of green. Your diet will be a delicate balance of fruit, young leaves, flowers, and the occasional insect. The ripest figs would be your treasure, their sweetness a reward for your daring climbs. You'd learn to remember where fruit trees ripen and when, mapping the forest in your mind like a living calendar. But food isn't the only thing you'd need to survive. You'd need territory, a patch of forest that your family would call its own. As a gibbon, you wouldn't live in large groups like monkeys. Instead, your life would revolve around a small, close-knit family, your parents and perhaps one or two siblings. This bond would be sacred, and so would your home. Each dawn, your family would sing, a duet between mother and father that would echo across the valley. The gibbon song isn't just beautiful, it's powerful. It tells the forest, this place is ours. It's a declaration of love, loyalty, and defense all at once. Your voice will be one of the most haunting sounds in the jungle. You call through the misty air with melodies so pure it could carry for more than a mile. Other gibbons would answer in the distance, a web of sound weaving through the morning haze. To humans, it might sound like music. To you, it's survival, a way to mark your boundaries without a fight. Each pair has its own rhythm, its own harmony, and your parents' song will become a soundtrack to your childhood. When you were old enough to explore on your own, the forest would become both playground and danger zone. You'd practice your swing, your leap, your landings until your body moved with instinctive grace. You'd learn the feel of bark beneath your hands, the distance between branches, and the sound of danger approaching through the undergrowth. You'd learn that eagles circle silently above and pythons coil unseen below. You'd learn that silence can save your life. Unlike monkeys, you have no tail to help you balance. Instead, your sense of motion would come from your mind, your coordination, and your long, muscular arms. You'd twist in midair, landing on a branch no thicker than your wrist, feeling it bend and sway under your weight. Your world would always be moving, never still, never predictable. And that's how you'd survive, by staying fluid, adapting, and reading the forest as if it were an extension of your own heartbeat. The forest itself would change with the seasons. When the rains came, everything would burst to life. The trees dripping with moisture, the rivers swelling, and the air humming with insects. Fruit would be plentiful then, and your days would be filled with abundance. But in the dry season, the forest would grow silent and lean. You need to travel farther, searching for whatever fruit trees still bore food. It's in these hard months that your intelligence would shine. You'd rely on memory, planning, and cooperation within your family to survive. Your bond with your mate would be unlike almost any other in the primate world. Gibbons are among the few primates that form lifelong pair bonds. When you find your partner, you stay together, singing, raising young, defending territory side by side. Your duet each morning isn't just a warning, it's an affirmation. You'd swing to the trees together, groom each other in the quiet hours, and share food and safety. It's a love written in the rhythm of the forest, tested by time and storms. Raising a young gibbon is no easy task. You watch your parents work tirelessly to keep you safe. Your mother would nurse you and carry you for years, while your father would guard a family's boundaries, driving off intruders with fierce cries and displays of strength. You'd learn courage by watching him stand tall, his throat sac expanding as he calls into the distance. You'd learn tenderness by watching your mother groom your fur, searching for ticks with delicate precision. Every lesson would be unspoken but unforgettable. One day, as you reach maturity, a quiet instinct would grow inside you, a restless need to explore beyond your family's home range. You would begin to travel farther each day, testing the edges of your territory, calling softly into the unknown. This is the gibbon's coming of age, the moment when you leave the safety of your parents' forest to find your own. It's a lonely journey, filled with uncertainty, but also with the thrill of discovery. You cross rivers, brave open gaps in the canopy, and listen for voices in the distance, voices that might one day become your own duet. You'd face competition, too. Other gibbons are fiercely territorial, and to them, you're an intruder. There'll be loud confrontations, branches shaking and chases through the treetops. Yet you'd learn to read the signs of conflict before they happen, to retreat when needed, to assert when necessary. Over time, you'd find an unclaimed stretch of forest, and if luck smiles upon you, a mate whose song harmonizes with yours. Together, you'd begin again, the cycle renewed, a new duet echoing through the trees. But as a gibbon, your greatest threat wouldn't come from leopards or pythons. It would come from the ground, from the two-legged creatures with machines, axes, and fire. Humans would cut down your forest to plant palm oil, build roads, or harvest timber. Each year, your home would grow smaller. You'd swing over open clearings where once there were trees, your calls echoing against silence. You would understand why the world beneath you is changing, only that the canopy no longer connects. For a creature that lives by movement, losing connection is like losing life itself. You'd adapt as best you could, crossing wider gaps, feeding on new plants, venturing closer to human settlements in search of food. But danger would follow. Hunters might capture you for the illegal pet trade. Some would take your young, killing the parents who fought to protect them. You'd feel fear in ways your ancestors never did, a deep instinctive panic when a chainsaw hums or a gunshot cracks through a forest. The world that once felt endless would begin to shrink. And yet, nature would still find a way to resist. In protected reserves and remote mountain forests, gibbons would continue to sing. Their songs would echo over valleys untouched by machines, their arms still tracing the air in ancient rhythm. You'd be part of that resilience, a living reminder of what balance looks like when left alone. If you were born as a gibbon, your survival would depend not only on instinct, but on the kindness and awareness of a species that too often forgets it shares this world with others. The scent of ripening fruit would guide you through the forest like a map written in the air. You'd learn to track aromas carried by the wind, each one whispering of distance and direction. Sometimes a single tree heavy with figs could feed your whole family for days. You'd swing closer, your keen eyes spotting flashes of color among the leaves, yellow, crimson, violet. Every meal would be a dance between patience and precision. To reach it, you'd hang by one arm, twisting your body with impossible grace, plucking fruit without breaking a single branch. But the forest can change without warning. A sudden storm could turn the air electric, the canopy trembling beneath thunder's roar. As a gibbon, you wouldn't seek shelter on the ground. You'd trust the trees, gripping tightly, while rain pounded your back like drumming fists. The wind would bend branches, leaves would twist, and lightning would split the sky into veins of white fire. You'd hold fast, soap unbroken, your heartbeat steady as the storm's fury passed. When the storm would finally end, the forest would breathe again. Mist would rise from the wet leaves like smoke, and the chorus of life would return. Frogs croaking, birds calling, insects humming. You'd shake the water from your fur, and stretch your arms to the sky, feeling the warmth of sunlight return. For a moment, everything would shimmer, the leaves, the branches, the very air reborn after chaos. Survival, for you, wouldn't just mean enduring the storm. It would mean embracing its rhythm. Sometimes the forest would go silent, not because of peace, but because of presence. You'd sense it before seeing it. A python coiled on a nearby branch, its eyes like liquid amber, or perhaps a clouded leopard watching from a lower bough. In those moments, stillness would be your shield. You'd freeze, breath shallow, body blending into shadow. One wrong movement could turn you from observer to prey. The forest teaches every creature one truth. The quietest survivor often lives the longest. If you survive that moment, instinct would guide your escape. A single heartbeat would unleash a burst of motion. Branches bending, leaves scattering, air slicing past. You wouldn't fight, you'd fly. Each swing would be fueled by fear and precision, your body turning panic into poetry. Within seconds, danger would vanish behind you, left among the trembling leaves. In the canopy, speed is safety and hesitation is death. Night in the jungle would be a different kind of kingdom. The forest, once full of color, would dissolve into silhouettes and whispers. You'd curl close to your family, your fur pressed against theirs, safe in the crook of an old fig tree. The stars above would flicker through gaps in the canopy, and the sounds of nocturnal life would fill the dark. Crickets, owls, frogs, the heartbeat of the jungle at rest. You'd close your eyes, trusting the forest to hold you through the night. At dawn, the forest would come alive again. The rising sun would paint the world in gold and green, and you'd stretch your limbs with a slow, graceful ease. Morning dew would beat on your fur as you climbed to your favorite perch. Then, as the first chorus began, your voice would join in, a melodic call rising above the canopy. It's more than song, it's connection. It's how the forest knows you're still here. As you grew older, your life would become a rhythm of exploration and belonging. You'd travel with your family through familiar trails of branches, each route a story passed down through generations. Every leap would retrace invisible paths, routes carved by ancestors long before you. And though the forest might seem endless, your mind will hold its every turn and echo, a living map etched in instinct. One day, curiosity would draw you farther than you've ever gone before, beyond your family's territory. The forest would change, trees taller, air cooler, the songs of strangers echoing faintly in the distance. You'd pause often, scanning the canopy for danger, every sense alert. The unknown is both beautiful and brutal in the jungle, and as you journey deeper, you'd realize that survival isn't only about strength. It's about knowing when to trust your instincts and when to turn back. The forest is never silent for long. From the east, you'd hear the calls of another Gibbon family, a foreign melody that doesn't belong to your kind. Their song would ripple through the trees, strong and territorial. Instinctively, you'd respond not with aggression but with identity. Your voice, though young, would rise and blend into a natural chorus, announcing who you are and where you belong. It's not a fight. It's a dialogue written in echoes. Every call, every leap, every bite of fruit is a choice, one that decides whether you thrive or disappear. The forest doesn't forgive mistakes easily. A wrong branch could break, an unripe fruit could poison. Yet somehow, you'd learn without books, guided only by experience and instinct. The canopy would shape your intelligence, each near miss and triumph carving lessons deeper than any scar. Sometimes, you'd meet eyes with another creature, an orangutan, a hornbill, or even a snake resting in the sun. In those moments, the jungle would feel both infinite and intimate. You'd share a silent understanding. Every life here is woven into the same tapestry. No creature rules the forest. It only borrows space and breath. And you, a small gibbon, would carry that unspoken wisdom in every swing. As years passed, your fur would darken, your movements slower but more certain. You'd find a mate, your duet echoing each morning like a promise renewed. Together, you'd raise your own young, teaching them the same lessons once whispered to you. Where to find fruit, how to listen to the forest, and when silence is survival. The canopy that once felt endless would now feel like home, a story continuing through you. But even in paradise, danger changes form. The new threat would not crawl or stalk. It would roar and echo with engines. The sound of humans would reach your forest, carried on fumes and metal. Trees would fall, the earth trembling beneath machines. You watch from above, confusion turn into fear as your world shrank branch by branch. The canopy, your kingdom, would be fractured by the greed of those who never learned to climb. You'd flee. But the forest would not be the same. Paths once filled with song would now echo with silence. The fruit trees gone, the canopy thinned. Predators push closer. You cling to survival in smaller fragments of home. Tiny islands of green suspended in a sea of emptiness. And though your arms would still be strong, the distances between branches would grow too wide to cross. And yet, even in this shrinking world, life would persist. You'd adapt, feeding on new plants, finding water in hollow trunks, teaching your young to survive among ruins. Nature's strength is quiet but relentless. You'd swing again, cautiously, carefully, keeping hope alive in the rhythm of your arms. The gibbon's grace would become a symbol of resilience, beauty enduring even as the forest wept. One day, humans would return, but differently. This time, they bring silence, not chainsaws. Scientists, conservationists, children with cameras instead of rifles. They'd watch from below, awed by your effortless motion, your songs, your story. Slowly, you'd begin to trust again, and the forest, once scarred, would start to heal under their care. For the first time in generations, the canopy would echo not with fear, but with harmony. Years would pass, and the forest would find its rhythm again. You'd swing through branches heavy with fruit, your calls answered by distant kin. The young would play, the air filled with laughter like echoes. Life would return in layers, the orchids blooming, the hornbills nesting, the streams running clear. The story of survival would continue, written not in words, but in motion, melody, and memory. If you were born as a gibbon, your story would be one of balance between danger and grace, fear and song, destruction and renewal. You would never conquer the forest. You would belong to it. Every branch you touched would remember your rhythm. Every call you made would become part of its eternal choir. To survive as a gibbon is not to fight nature, but to move in harmony with it. And in that harmony lies a truth older than time. That life, no matter how fragile, finds a way to sing again.